Hello and welcome to today's LOL Esports Roundup, where we're going to cover the news of the last day, recap the games from this morning in the LPL and LCK. The LCS games that are on tonight's schedule will be on tomorrow's Roundup. It will be the last guaranteed Roundup for at least a week and a half. I'm going to try and do the Roundups on the road or wherever I am. I'm bringing my microphone. It'll be audio only, and maybe I'll have Notepad or Excel with my notes and things like this on the screen for you to reference. Otherwise, I have already filmed 6 videos. I'm going to film 5 more today. Well, no, it wouldn't be 6, Jesus. Well, I filmed 6. I need 3 more today. So, to take over the 9 days that I will not have roundups guaranteed. Power rankings, I will be doing in some way, shape, or form. But yeah, so LCS games tonight, tomorrow's roundup. Then I'm going to preview the LPL, LCK, and LCS for tomorrow. So, news of the day. XL have taken care of some spring cleaning. They have announced that Limit is with the team. We saw this being rumored 2 weeks ago. Limit is going to replace Targamas with a 2.2 KDA, 70.4 KP. Last year with BDS in summer, he had a 2.75 vision score per minute, 1.65 vision wards placed per minute. Sorry, 1.65 wards placed per minute. Would place 1 ward every other minute when it came to vision wards. I imagine those are placing control wards. And then he'd clear 2 out of every 5 wards. Would clear 2 wards every 5 minutes on average. 6 champions in 7 games. He struggled with BDS. Played with them in spring, was very sus. Got sent down to the LFL, and then midway through summer, he was split. He was swapped out with Erdate. So Limit joins XL. Targamas' numbers last year were not that bad. Well, last split, sorry. 2.6 KDA, 73.3 KP, 3 vision score per minute, 1.43 wards placed per minute. 1 control ward, 1 vision ward placed every 4 minutes, and then would roughly clear a ward every other minute. So honestly, I think Targamas is a lot better than Limit. After watching Limit last year and even Targamas this past split, I understand Targamas is not with G2 anymore. But we also see how Mickey did with Patrick last year, and now back with G2, Mickey looks a lot better. So I really think we should be thinking about maybe it's not the support. I guess we'll really know for sure when Limit, joins the team. Because if we think about it, even with Advian, Patrick XL were still in trouble. Like, for a while now, XL have been in trouble, and they continue to keep Patrick and swap out supports. 8 champions in 9 games during spring for Targamas. He is in contract prison now. Hidon was brought in as the coach. Young Buck was let go, I thought, but he's still listed as a coach on Leaguepedia. 118 and 97 over his career. Young Buck, obviously one of the more notable coaches in EU. But Hidon is the new coach, and there is not much to go off of here. According to Leaguepedia, he has not been accredited with being on a team's coaching staff since 2020. Now, he has been kicking around as an analyst and an assistant coach since then with a few ERL teams, but never to the point where he's been credited with their record or their result on Leaguepedia. So it is definitely a puzzling decision. I think XL are close on money. They got rid of their ERL team so they could afford the roster they have, and it didn't work out, so now they are broke. That's what I think happened. Ninja and Pajamas make another move. Shadow, formerly of Mad Lions, and LGD last year, joins in the jungle. Had a 3.5 KDA, 5.5 CS per minute, 67.3 KP last year in summer. That was a little lackluster. We saw the meta shift from carry-oriented in spring to a more facilitator dog-style meta, and Shadow really didn't fit that. 300 damage per minute, 14.6 damage share, 18.4 gold share, 9 champions played in 24 games. He split time with Key. Zhao Lao Bao, who is the starter for NIP, at least up until now, has struggled. 2.5 KDA, 4.5 CS per minute. On average, he is in a hole. 73-1 KP. At least he's involved in nearly 3 out of every 4 kills, so he's trying to create and make things happen. 376 damage per minute, 15.5 damage share, 17.7 gold share, 7 champions of 27 games. I don't blame Nip for doing this. Shadow is only, I mean, at most he's 22 years old, at least 21 years old. So he's a young player with a lot of, promise still. People just think because he's played the last couple of years that he's washed, and it's like he isn't even fully developed yet. It kind of just goes with the whole situation they had. They had multiple top laners and now let Rich go and bring in Shadow. And dual mid laners with Dream and Pout. So Nip are trying different things in spring. New org, taking over Victory 5's roster. BLG, Lamau finally gets a job. Lamau was signed 2.9 KDA, 71.8 KP, 10 champions in 21 games last year with LNG, splitting time with Iwandi. This was a long time coming for Lamau. I was waiting for a good team to come to him for an offer. I'm sure bad teams did, and he turned them down. At this point in his career, could be 27 years old. I mean, this is probably his last shot. And BLG is a team that's, in the, I would say definitely in the upper half of the LPL, but with the potential to be a top 4 team if all things hit right. And, they haven't been that way. They've been very inconsistent. At support, put up a 3.3 KDA, 74.5 KP, 13 champions in 31 games this year. I don't think On has necessarily been the problem. I think Yagao and Shun have been more of a problem, but if they can get Elk online, it's a big deal. So if Lamau can help Elk, this team can really take the next step. Astralis announced leader in mid lane. They had allowed Dajor to go quite a little while ago, and now leader is the mid laner. These numbers are from with Golden Guardians Academy last year. He's kicked around a little bit. He played with Vitality a couple of years ago and actually had some decent numbers. Got cut, ended up going to North America. 2.4 KDA, 8.7 CS per minute, 61.2 KP. I think he's a very good laner, more of a 1v1. He's very aggressive, melee, AD mid laner. I think of Yone when I think of leader. I think of even mid Viego. I think he pulled that out. Like he is a finesse mid laner. So 61.2 KP. 719 damage per minute, which is a ton. 29 damage per minute. That is almost carry-like in mid lane. 23.5 gold share, so gets fed. On average, in Academy, he had a slight gold lead, 5 CS, 290 XP, so not dominant in the first 15 minutes at that level. 8 solo kills in 10 games, played 4 champions. Hasn't played much since. And, the way I look at it, I think Leader is better than Dajor. I think Leader probably deserved an opportunity for a while now. The Norwegian had some potential a couple of years ago. And, we'll see what happens. I think that he offers a lot different look than what Dajor was offering Astralis, as far as I'm concerned. Recap from this morning. EDG second in the power rankings at 9-2, beat LGD, who were 4-7, 2-1. Fofo was my MVP, going 6-5, 18, 28% of damage. He played Jace in Game 1 and Game 3, and I thought that was very impactful. Damage in key moments was a key reason for why they came back in Game 1. JJ 5-5, 20 had the best KDA, and Zhaozhu probably was the best player in the game between both teams, going 9-6, 8, 26% of damage. Zhaozhu gapped Ale in Game 1. Kesante, Zhaozhu looked fabulous in Game 1 and Game 2, but Game 1 was more so in lane. He straight up beat Ale, solo killed him. And then they would start going top lane and putting Ale in a deep hole. All of a sudden, Ale was 0-4. And Zhaozhu was just so far ahead. And LGD were ahead, but EDG had taken a few drakes, right? So they were in position to get Soul. EDG had Kog'Maw. This was probably Leave's worst series, in my opinion. Against LPC and Jinja, you'd think they'd be doing more, but they really struggled. Trying to steal the Nami and pair it with the Kog'Maw was not effective. And LPC's Lucian was a lot better than Leaves Kog'Maw. So EDG ended up turning it. A lot to do with Fofo and his Jace. A lot to do with Ale coming through in the late game and like out team fighting and doing what he had to do. Secured the Elder. Was a very important player in the later stages of the game. Coming back from his terrible laning phase, which I do think he does deserve a little bit of criticism for. And we've been talking about it, and I referenced it in a video that's still to come out next week about top laners, prospect top laners, and Ale. I use Ale as an example there. You know, when you have a player that goes off into an island, that's fine if theoretically, in my opinion, if my top laner is worse than yours and I'm still willing to put them on an island, or not even worse, not as important to my team, let's put it that way, and I'm taking a more important top laner out of it and throwing them on an island, and my top laner can keep that one away from the team. It's a 4v4 and then a 1v1, and this 1v1 stays even enough that it doesn't need to be a 2v1, right? That's the sort of way EDG's been playing, and Ali's done a fabulous job at that 1v1. But if you're against like Zhaozhou, it's the opposite. I think Zhaozhou wants Ale on an island, and if Zhaozhou can stay close to him, which in this case he gapped him and was ahead of him, LGD is the team in an advantage. However, LGD weren't able to secure objectives. EDG take them. EDG win the game. Game 2, LGD just smoke show EDG. Much better game. LGD secure objectives, and they win the game. Just very clean performance. I thought Zhaozhou was essential on the K'Sante. I think he had a quadra kill at one point. Very impactful. Just like there were moments where it was like, oh my god, this is maybe the best K'Sante game I've seen all year out of anybody. And Qingtian had some good games. Fudge had some good games, but Zhaozhou's game 2 today was fabulous on the champion. Game 3, EDG just take over. EDG's a better team. Fofo makes things happen on the Jace. They banned Zhaozhou's K'Sante, which allowed Ale to take advantage of him in the top lane. Okay, so Ale is better than Zhaozhou, but today it was a mixed bag. And frankly, Leave and Mako did their job finally in Game 3, but it was a lot to do with the mid-jungle for EDG in their essential comeback in Game 1 and in Game 3 with JJ and Fofo. So mentioning them both made a lot of sense here. JDG in top. JDG 6th in the power rankings at 8-3. Thunder Talk 7-4 and 23rd. JDG went 2-0 in a series that took less than 50 minutes. Knight went 18-3-10 with 31% damage, was MVP. He went 16-0-7 in Game 2 on Anari. Kanavi 7-0-17 in the jungle. I think he had Vi both games. Hoya had the most damage for Thunder Talk, going 0-8-3. So 0 kills, 8 deaths, 3 assists, 30% of damage. Hoya really struggling. There were moments that made you scratch your head as he tried. I think he was on an Ornn in Game 2 and really attempting to avoid some dives and outplay them, and like looked really sus. Thunder Talk like really just weren't a match for JDG. JDG coming off of that upset loss to OMG. We're on a mission, and every player performed like you would expect JDG to perform. And it was like a clinic. It really, I mean, Game 1 was a little closer. I think JDG won and didn't have a ton of kills. But in Game 2, Knight was like, he had a quadra on Ari in the mid game, and I think he had a triple later on, and he was just all over the place. And honestly, part of me wanted to make Kanavi MVP, because I thought Kanavi got Knight ahead in both games. Personally, he went mid lane, killed UCal in both games in the laning phase to put Knight up. And in Game 1, Knight actually died in the early stage of the game. But that Game 2 performance, I think the record is 17 kills set last year by Karsa. He came that close to a record, which would have been MVP worthy. And in the end, I picked him as MVP. Ruler missing. Wanfeng pulled out Cho'Gath in Game 2. It's been a long time coming. We remember hearing rumors about LS actually trying to get C9 to play it last year in spring, and mixed reviews on that on Reddit and pundits and things like that, probably suggesting Berserker should not be on a champion like that. But we're seeing it from a couple teams and their top 25 teams. And Wanfeng, you know, given I doubt he's played much Cho'Gath before, was okay. Being paired with a Rakan, I don't know how to feel about that one. But, I mean, I don't think was the reason why they lost. JDG just... The mid-jungle duo, Beshuan, couldn't keep up with Kanavi, and UCal was completely outclassed by Knight. LCK, Sandbox, and Gen G. Sandbox 12th in the power rankings. I probably should make sure I'm recording. Sandbox 12th in power rankings, 8 and 6. Lost to Gen G, who are 7th and 10 and 4. Gen G win 2-0. Delight was my MVP. Pays 918, 29% of damage for Gen G. Doran 3-0-10 in top lane. Chovy also went deathless. Envy 132, 34% of damage for Sandbox. Delight on the Karma got the game rolling. Really got the series rolling for Gen G. A couple key moments out of him. In even the 2v2 in the very early stages. Pays would clean up on a virus, but I thought the Karma was integral to their lead. Delight once again impressing me. Obviously Chovy into closer. Chovy not dying is important. Chovy is better than closer, and it's a nice thing to see that he is performing well. Doran over Birdall, like everybody performed the way they should. And it was just a very, very clean 2-0. I had Gen G winning this 2-0 going in. Sandbox are reeling right now. We have to keep in mind they did beat some of these teams the first round robin, and sometimes it's a wash. It is what it is. We've seen nobody go undefeated this year in any region. So, writing teams off because they have a couple losses in a row would probably be disingenuous when you really look at the grand scheme of things. But I do think that Sandbox are in some trouble right now. They're, coming back down to earth. The bot lane did its job. Envy and Cal. I mean, Cal a little worse than Envy. That's why Envy's listed on here. More than 1/3 of his team's damage. Close. I think the solo laners are the ones that are going to have to step up for Sandbox if they want a chance in the playoffs at all. T1 and DRX. T1 first in the power rankings, 13 and 1. DRX 3 and 11. Owner was my MVP. Owner on the Vi, and then the Lee Sin. His Lee Sin, obviously, the best Lee Sin in the world. 2-0. Faker 3-3-14, 28% of damage. Carrier 1-1 and 18 for T1. So it's funny actually, the two most important players I have on here, neither one got most of the kills. Duckdom 3-2-1, 27% of damage for DRX. Owner in game 1 on the Vi. There was a moment where DRX could have gotten a comeback. Guma and Carrier were very low, and Owner came to the rescue at the very last second. I think Guma had under 10 health, and without that, DRX maybe catch up in that game. Maybe things are slightly different in game 1 if Owner does not show up and not make something happen, but show up and save the day. And I think Zeus solo killed Rascal in game 1, so that side of the rift was Zeus favored, but by that point the game was out of hand and neither top laner had any KP, so once again, the island situation, right? And, when you look at the 4v4 and how it actually impacted the game, because I don't think the 1v1 was as important, I thought Owner was integral. He was involved. The Vi and the cease and desists were on point. And, the Lee Sin in game 2, Owner was just massive. He's just massive. I mean, when Owner is on Lee Sin, it's hard to ignore it as being not MVP worthy. Like, he is the key to their success. He is making things happen. His kicks are on point. Ward hops and everything else. He's just... Owner is one of the best junglers in the world. And when you give him Lee Sin, he is the best jungler in the world on Lee Sin. You cannot give that if it's meta. And right now, looking at how patch 13.4 is looking, in terms of win rate wise, I think Lee Sin is going to be meta for a while now, for better or for worse, whether pundits or randoms or myself or whoever thinks it might be bad or good. The win rates are looking like Lee Sin's going to stick around if you're a good Lee Sin. So, T1 winning, not a shocker. Preview for tomorrow, LPL, Ninja in Pajamas against BLG. So both teams, we'll see if Shadow or Lamau plays. BLG 18th in the power ranking, 6-5. NIP 3-8. Last time NIP were on the Rift, they lost FPX. BLG beat RNG. In week 9 of summer, Victory 5 won 2-0, now known as NIP. 3 out of 10 players from that series play tomorrow. Fodic and Zhao Bao if he plays for NIP, and then Bin for BLG. The Discord highlighted the top lane matchup. Invincible was not playing, and Bin got gapped. He was struggling, going 3-12-5, so 3 kills, 12 deaths, 5 assists for 20% of the team's damage. FPX and OMG after that. FPX 2-9, OMG 7-4, 17th in my power rankings. OMG beat Anyone's Legend. FPX beat NIP. In the playoffs in summer was the last time these two teams faced off. FPX would win 3-2. 6 of the 10 starters from that series start tomorrow. Fearness was not playing for FPX at the time. He was playing for LGD. Summit started for them in top lane. Shanji would go 12 kills, 12 deaths, 25 assists into Summit in that one for 1/4 of OMG's damage. LCK preview, Nongshim and D+. Nongshim 1-14, D+ third in the power rankings at 10-4. Nongshim coming off of a loss to DRX. D+ coming off of a win against HLE earlier this week. In week 2 of this split, D+ would win 2-0. The bot lane matchup is what was highlighted by the Discord. Deft and Kellen 10-6-28 for 42% of the team's damage. Vital and Peter went 6-8 and 14 for 36% of red forces. After that, we have KT and Bro. KT 4th in the power rankings at 10-5. Bro 4-10. KT beat HLE earlier this week. Bro lost to Genji last weekend. Week 3, they would play. KT won 2-0. Top lane was highlighted. Keen went 11-2-8 for 32% of KT's damage in that series. Morgan struggled, going 0-7-4 for 21%. So a little bit of a diffy there in the top lane in the LCK. For the LCS, TL and C9. TL 5-8, C9 10-3, 16th in my power rankings. The last time these two teams played, C9 would win in week 4. Fudge on a Kesante went 1-1-8 for 16% of C9's damage. I forget what Summit played in that one, but he went 2-2-4 for 20% of TL's damage. That one, obviously, we'll see how TL does today, but TL needs to start getting wins if they want to get in the playoffs. Immortals and FlyQuest. Immortals 3-10, FlyQuest 11-2, and 11th in the power rankings. When they played last in week 4, FlyQuest would win. Mid lane, Vikla went 4-1-4 for 26% of FlyQuest's damage, and Balulu was not playing for them. A Blaze Olive was, so we'll see how Balulu does into Vikla. CLG and EG, CLG 7-6, EG 9-4, 25th in my power rankings. They played in week 1. CLG would win. Contracts on a Sejuani went 4-2-5 for 17% of CLG's damage. EG Inspired would go 3-1-6 with 16% of EG's damage on an Elise. So we'll see how CLG does the second time around. If they can go 2-0 against EG. EG probably need to set themselves apart from that tier of the LCS in this one. Dignitas and 100 Thieves. Dig 1-12, 100 Thieves 5-8. Week 2, 100 Thieves would win. Mid lane matchup, Bjergsen 409 on a Azir for 27% of 100 Thieves damage. Jensen 141 on a Victor for 36% for Dig. This was obviously one of those games where Jensen dealt all the damage as the rest of the team crumbled. And then TSM and Golden Guardians is the last game of tomorrow. Golden Guardians 8-5, TSM 6-7. In week 4, Golden Guardians would win. River 309, 29% of the damage for Golden Guardians on a Maokai. Boogie would go 1-3-3, 16% of damage on a Wukong for TSM. So we'll see how that one goes. That one should be exciting. Those mid-jungle duos of imports is definitely a fun one. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, like it, subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Later today, my minor region power rankings will come out. Follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, become a supporter, and thank you for watching.